Please be seated. It's my pleasure as Chancellor of Ozarks Technical Community College to welcome you to this induction ceremony of Phi Theta Kappa. Before you stand the best and brightest of Ozarks Tech. I've been working with Phi Theta Kappa since I began in community colleges in 1991, and I'm always impressed by the amount of work, intelligence, and perseverance we see with our Phi Theta Kappa members. Before we get started, friends and family, let's give our inductees a big hand. So without further ado, let's get started and welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Higdon. My name is Lisa Voss, and I'm honored to serve as the president of the Alpha Psi Tau chapter of Phi Theta Kappa. I'd like to introduce you to our honored guests on stage. First is Dr. Hal Higdon, who welcomed us this evening. Dr. Higdon serves as the Chancellor for the Ozarks Technical Community College. Next, Dr. Robert Griffith, Campus President of the Table Rock Campus for Ozarks Technical Community College. Ashley Rowan, Assistant Director of the Tutoring and Learning Center for Ozarks Technical Community College. Mary Higginbotham, Vice President of Campus Promotions for the Alpha Psi Tau chapter of Phi Theta Kappa. Andrew Dietz, Vice President of Leadership for the Alpha Psi Tau chapter of Phi Theta Kappa. In addition to these guests, I'd like to recognize our other Alpha Psi Tau chapter members, our chapter advisors and honors office staff in attendance tonight, who have dedicated a great deal of their time and their hearts to Phi Theta Kappa this year. As I call your name, please stand and remain standing. Audience, please hold your applause to the end. Sydney Barger, Chapter Vice President of Virtual Promotions. Damian Brandon, Chapter Vice President of Scholarship. Leland Wilson, Chapter Vice President of Fellowship. Madeline Resbrook, Chapter Editor-in-Chief of the Pinnacle. Daniel Sider, Heartland Region Representative. Chapter Advisors, Todd Yerby, Cassidy Bright, Anita Dixon, Dee Lancaster, Micah Walker Schaefer, and Keith Dinwiddie. Honors office staff Faith Poplar and Audie Long. Additionally, if you're a current member of Phi Theta Kappa, a member being inducted this evening, or a Phi Theta Kappa alumni, please stand. All of those standing before you are instrumental in the success of the Alpha Psi Tau chapter. Through scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowship, these individuals are bonded by their academic achievement, participation, or support for the Alpha Psi Tau chapter of Phi Theta Kappa. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Lisa. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker. Ashley Rowan hails from Aldrich, a small farming town in rural Missouri. She's a proud alumna of Ozarks Tech, earning an Associate of Arts degree and a certificate in Business and Marketing. Please be seated. Sorry. She holds a bachelor's degree from Drury University, a master's degree from Missouri State, and she is currently pursuing a Doctor of Education degree from the University of Southern Mississippi. Ashley currently serves as the Assistant Director of the Speckman Tutoring and Learning Center on the Springfield campus, where she assists in all aspects of managing a department of nearly 70 employees. Ashley credits much of her success to her time as a student at Ozarks Tech, where she served as Alpha Psi Tau Vice President of Fellowship and Outreach, the Phi Theta Kappa Missouri Regional Vice President, and served as OTC's first candidate to campaign for Phi Theta Kappa International Office. Please join me in welcoming Ashley Rowan.
Good evening. Whether you are a student just embarking on your journey as a member of the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, a parent, a family member, a friend, or one of the many administrators, staff, and faculty here today, our motive is the same: to celebrate the achievements of our highest performing students. It is truly my honor and privilege to be here. Listening to Rob introduce me tonight, I couldn't help but think, I'm pretty sure this guy could make the disclaimer at the end of an insurance policy sound interesting. That's true talent, my friend. Reflecting on that introduction, I can't help but think it might be fun to kind of put a personal byline on it. You know, maybe just like a couple of words that describe my personal journey. We might be tempted to come up with something like, she succeeded. However, a byline like this would ignore so many pivotal moments in my life. Instead, I think I'd choose something like, she persevered. Has anyone ever told you that you have a lot of potential? Boy, I sure heard that a lot growing up. From the time I was 5 years old, I remember dreaming about being the first one in my family to go to college. In my hometown, most people have never set foot on a college campus, and that's okay. I'm very proud of my rural Missouri roots. I learned a lot of hard-won lessons growing up on a cattle farm, throwing rocks from the field into buckets, bucking hay bales at harvest time, and early mornings freezing my tail off as I broke ice on water troughs and ponds. Although I loved farm life, I knew I wanted an education and a career. I remember finishing my kindergarten entrance exam and anxiously awaiting my results. When the evaluator came in, she looked at my mom and said, well, her scores are off the charts for her age. She has a lot of potential, but she talks a lot. She'll need to work on that. I guess I'm still working on that one. I spent the next 13 years immersing myself into my education. I was driven and involved in everything. By the time high school ended, I had been awarded just about every recognition possible. I graduated with the top tier of my class, and I was voted most likely to succeed. Honestly, I would have irritated the crap out of most of you in here. My entire K-12 journey, I heard over and over, you have so much potential and I can't wait to see what you do with it. I graduated high school and I headed to college at a 4-year private university to play softball and study pre-law. It was fully funded through scholarships and aid. I showed up at college bright-eyed with a head full of dreams and a lot of potential. If you're sitting here going, oh joy, another I'm so awesome kind of speech, let me tell you, we're just getting to the good stuff. We hear about potential a lot. Do you know what I think about potential? Well, I'm going to be honest with you, not much. According to the Oxford Dictionary, potential means having or showing the capacity to become or develop into something in the future. In other words, you might accomplish something if you take certain actions to get there, but there's no guarantees that it will ever become a reality. Potential is realized through choices, smart ones. Speaking of choices, have you ever made a dumb choice? I mean, like a really boneheaded, stupid decision? Well, I made my fair share of dumb choices when I first went to college. Let's just say that I wasn't really prepared for the culture shock of leaving my high school routine. In college, I had no one telling me when to get up, how I should prioritize my time, or giving me a hard reality check when I needed a wake-up call. Although I did pretty well my first semester, the next couple didn't go so well. I failed, and I mean, I failed hard. Hard enough that I lost all the funding that I worked so hard to earn. I was a college dropout at that point. And oh yeah, did I mention I had become a single parent raising an infant on my own, working 2 jobs, trying to pay the bills? Yep, that's what my life became, a constant struggle to survive. My primary job was at McDonald's. I spent about 6 months working there, and I was given more responsibility and more money. Upper management talked to me about my potential. But one day, I looked around and I realized that although I took great pride in the quality of my work, I just didn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. So I decided to try my hand at college again. I applied to a couple of different universities, and do you know what they told me? No, because by that point I was a bad bet because of all the bad choices I'd made. My mom encouraged me to go talk to someone at Ozarks Technical Community College. I found myself traversing the steps to that big, imposing building on the Springfield campus. I was a non-traditional, first-generation single parent, desperately hoping for a better future. I vividly remember my first conversation with an admissions counselor at OTC. I told her my story. It was one of hard work, some poor decisions, and unrealized potential. I told her I didn't know what the future had in store for me, but I really wanted an education and I wanted opportunities. She said, "Don't worry, we have a place for you here. I'm here to help." That initial interaction blazed a path for me, one that I never saw coming and never knew that I needed. It took me a year and a half at OTC just to recover from the damage I had done when I first started college, and it wasn't easy. There seemed to be obstacles in my path at every turn, but I faced them with support of my family and so many people at Ozarks Tech that were there to help point me in the right direction. I may have failed to realize the potential I showed at a young age, but through hard work and perseverance, my story wasn't over. One of the proudest moments of my life took place on a night much like this, when I was inducted as a member into Phi Theta Kappa. At that moment, I rediscovered a spark that for so long I thought had gone out. I suddenly found myself by like-minded students and advisors that were all brilliant, driven, and involved. From the moment I joined, I loved everything about Phi Theta Kappa. There are so many things that I could tell you that PTK has given me. I could tell you about the many awards and accolades I received. I got a lot. I could tell you about the tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship and aid. And although I'm definitely proud of those achievements and very grateful for the financial support, the things I've gained from PTK that mean the most are the lessons I've learned through experiences and by building lifelong relationships with my fellow Phi Theta Kappans. Receiving an invitation to join PTK is a testament to your commitment to lifelong learning. I learned early on that the essence of Phi Theta Kappa originates with the pursuit of academic excellence through dedicated scholarship. As a single mom working multiple jobs and taking a full load of classes, I often felt isolated. By attending PTK meetings and working on initiatives such as Relay for Life and the Green Recycling Project, I learned what it truly meant to be an active part of my community. My involvement in Phi Theta Kappa taught me fellowship. As I continued to become more passionate about my work with PTK, I was asked to run for various officer positions. These experiences taught me many things about the immense responsibility we have to others when we are in a position of influence. Phi Theta Kappa taught me about leadership. But perhaps one of the most valuable lessons I've learned is about service. Service is incredibly important to me. I remember heading to our Missouri Regional Conference when I ran into some obstacles. First and foremost, I was broke. I mean, like, broke. I had saved up just enough money in an envelope, like $5 bills and single ones, to save up just enough to get me enough gas in the tank to get to where I was going. About an hour away from my destination, my car quit. It acted like it was out of gas, which was impossible because I had just put my last $20 in the tank. Yep, that was long enough ago you could still fill your car up for $20. Whatever the problem was, I knew my luck had run dry. So I called our regional PTK advisor, Ann Parks, who to this day is one of the kindest people I've ever known. I sobbed through my story on the phone and apologized that I wasn't going to make it. I had to tell my story twice, I was crying so hard. Ann told me not to worry, that we would get it taken care of. And within an hour, 2 of my fellow regional officers showed up to give me a ride. I was worried about my car, but they reassured me not to worry, that one of the local PTK members knew an old shade tree mechanic that lived close to where we were, and that he was going to pick up my car and look at it for me. I became concerned about finances. I didn't have any money for a car repair. But again, I was told, don't worry about it, we'll deal with that stuff later. I arrived at my destination a couple of hours late, but with enough time for us to wrap up final touches before the conference the next day. The next morning, I went to the parking lot and saw my regional officer team smiling around my 1986 Mercury Grand Marquis in perfect working order. Turns out my car was just old, and the gas line had eroded to the point that it broke in half and it spilled 3/4 of a tank of gas on the highway on the way to where I was going. To this day, I still don't know his name, but that mechanic picked my car up, fixed it, filled it back up with gas, and left it for me to drive. The impact of the many acts of kindness and selfless service I received from my Phi Theta Kappa family will live with me for the rest of my days. Phi Theta Kappa taught me the profound impact of service. And although I have many more stories about my time in Phi Theta Kappa, feel free to stop by my office and information comments up in the Writing Center if you ever want to talk more. I would be remiss if I didn't share the lasting impact it had on me even after I graduated OTC. I went to Drury University to finish my bachelor's degree in international business. It wasn't until I was on campus there that I realized my program required me to spend an entire semester studying abroad. At the time, my daughter was 4 years old, and yes, I was still a single mother. Then Lauren Lundstrom, who was a trusted mentor of mine from OTC, he told me about the Rotary Ambassadorial Scholarship. You see, he knew that I was learning Spanish and had a passion for both business and Latin American culture. The scholarship was worth $24,000. This was a long time ago, guys. That was like a fortune. It would be enough to fully fund an entire year studying abroad. My eyes lit up at the prospect, but my hopes waned pretty quickly when I thought about the logistics. Luckily, my PTK support team and Mr. Lundstrom wouldn't let me give up. I ended up applying for that scholarship thinking, what's the worst they can say? No. Surprisingly enough, I made it to the final round. The night before the interview, I got a pep talk from some of my PTK friends. A couple of them were in the back room back there. And the next morning, I appeared confident when I walked into a conference room full of real fancy business suits and some real important sounding titles. I made it through the interview pretty well unscathed. But I remember the last two questions I was asked in that interview. The first one was, can you tell us about your biggest success over the past year? I said, absolutely, my campaign for Phi Theta Kappa International President. One of them said, oh, congratulations, you won? I said, nope, I lost. Well, there were some nervous giggles, I hear them out there too. And then I was asked to explain exactly how that was a success. I went on to explain that success to me isn't just driven by an outcome. It's driven by the experience and by what I learned along the way. The year I spent preparing for and executing that campaign taught me more than I can put into words. I remember sitting there in the middle of thousands of PTK members at the international conference when the primary race results were released. The top two would move on to the final debate. My name wasn't there, and I was crushed. When the session ended, I embarrassingly apologized to my campaign team and my Phi Theta Kappa advisors, Steve and Joe. Much to my surprise, I was met with smiles, cheers, hugs, and tears. They were ecstatic. I didn't understand it. One of my advisors said, did you see how well you did? You just missed the final round by a few votes. This is awesome. In that moment, I felt solace in understanding that for so many of my campaign team members, the outcome of winning or losing wasn't the important part. It was the choice to try, to go after something big, something that none of us had ever tried before, to put forth countless hours of effort, energy, and personal sacrifice for a cause that we all believed in. That was a powerful realization for me that day, and I owe that lesson to PTK. At the end of my story, I won back the attention of the interviewers, and I spent the next few minutes listening to them tell their own valuable life lessons that they learned through their own failures. At the end of the day, no one succeeds all the time. And in the words of the incredibly inspiring Dr. Randy Pausch, experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. Learning from our failures allows us the space to take those experiences and turn them into successful choices in the future. The last question I had during that interview is one that I dreaded getting and I knew I was going to get. So, we see you're a single parent. Tell us what this committee should think about that. And on the spur of the moment, I reiterated what my PTK advisor, Steve, had counseled the day before. As far as I can tell, the Ambassadorial Scholarship Program is all about fostering goodwill and intercultural understanding. From where I'm sitting, you all would be getting a 2-for-1 deal. There was silence for a moment, then a lot of laughter. I left that room proud of who I was and what I stood for. And then I about dropped out of my seat the next day when I got a call saying that I was selected for one of the 2 ambassadorial scholarships. Less than a year later, my daughter and I found ourselves in Jalisco, Mexico, where I studied international business for a year at La Universidad de Guadalajara, where the lessons I learned during my time at Ozarks Tech and Phi Theta Kappa served me well. What I've shared with you this evening is a very small part of my journey. These experiences are unique to me, but what isn't unique is that at the end of the day, Struggle seems to be the one universal truth for us all. We're all going to experience it at some point, and to be honest with you, you're probably going to experience it a lot. The important part is what we choose to do, both during and after we face those struggles. Phi Theta Kappa recently launched its CC Smart campaign. It encourages students to chart your perfect career path at community college and dream big in your own backyard. And on that note, I would like to leave you with a few final thoughts. 1, choosing to attend community college was a smart choice. 2, choosing to attend Ozarks Tech was an even smarter choice. And 3, the smartest choice that all of you can make right now is to take advantage of every opportunity that you have during your time at this college. And that includes becoming an active member of PTK. To those of you that are being inducted here tonight, you have achieved something extraordinary through your hard work and intentional choices. And I don't know what the future holds for each of you, but as a staff member at Ozarks Tech and a fellow Phi Theta Kappan, I can't wait to see the paths that you choose to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. That was really lovely. I couldn't help but notice how many similarities there were in our stories. You know, if my wife were here, she would tell you that I also have a lot of potential, but I talk too much. So, all kidding aside, how great is it that we get to work at an institution that makes a place for people, that makes a place for a struggling college dropout, single mom, first generation, that even makes a place for those most brilliant and most driven students. So I'm proud to work at that kind of institution. I'm proud to celebrate you guys. Next on the agenda tonight, we have the opportunity to recognize some very special people. Our Phi Theta Kappa students have the opportunity to nominate OTC instructors and staff who have contributed in some significant way to their educational goals and who have served as mentors and guides in their pursuit of academic excellence. The individuals being honored tonight are listed in your program. If any of these mentors in attendance, would you please stand if possible and then remain standing? Do we have mentors here? These individuals have served as an inspiration for our students here tonight, and I'm pleased to present them to you this evening. Let's give the mentors a round of applause, please.
Fellow Phi Theta Kappa members, I'm pleased to present to you these candidates for membership in our Honor Society. These students have fulfilled all requirements for membership and have been selected because they have chosen scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowship as their hallmarks. I recommend them for acceptance into the Alpha Psi Tau chapter of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society and receive them in the lifelong pursuit of scholarship, leadership, service, and fellowship.
You are about to be inducted into a scholarly fellowship, which embraces community colleges, not only of your own state, but of the nation and the world. This fellowship is Phi Theta Kappa, and your chapter is Alpha Psi Tau. After induction, you will find among the members an atmosphere of scholarship to which you must give of yourself in order that the organization may be meaningful to you.
I have in my hand a torch, symbolic of knowledge, which is the servant of wisdom, which dwells with prudence and leads in the way of righteousness in the midst of the paths of judgment. Here we also have the white rose, typifying purity and beauty of life, with its white buds signifying intellectual associations.
This is the emblem of Phi Theta Kappa. It consists of a golden slab keyed at the top and bottom, the golden field like the escutcheon of our coat of arms, refers to the golden opportunities that abound on every hand for society folk to evidence their culture and perform good works. Since gold is the most noble of metals, it shall have a further significance to our society, for it shall represent that nobility attained by those who achieve intellectual leadership. Across the slab, you will observe a black band. It represents the three ideals which bind us together, and the cultural self-control, which is the necessary foundation for true wisdom, aspiration, and purity. Shining through the black enamel background are the three Greek letters, which are the initials of the Greek words, meaning wisdom, aspiration, and purity. Behind the band is a wreath, on the one side composed of oak leaves, and on the other, laurel. The oak leaves stand for stability and strength of character, as symbolized by the sturdy oak. The graceful curling leaves of the laurel signify achievement and success, all attributes for membership in our society. Above the band is the representation of the head of Athena, a symbol of learning. In the base appear the Greek letters meaning light, the light of knowledge and learning. The common ideal for members of Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. This badge stands as a symbol for the high idealism of our organization and membership into our select group. You have studied the constitution of this organization. The purpose is to foster the spirit of devotion, to study and to scholarly ideals among its members, and whose principles are embodied in the Greek letters, which stand for Pheromenon, Thumas, and Catherites. Wisdom, aspiration, and purity. Would tonight's inductees please stand if possible? Now that the standards and ideals of this organization have been fully revealed to you, you come to complete the pledge which admits you into complete fellowship. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly promise on the 22nd day of October 2024 to uphold the standards of Phi Theta Kappa and to keep this object and aim in mind. And I do solemnly pledge allegiance to my fellow members. And I promise to aid them in all worthy endeavors. I would now ask for the PTK inductees to make their way to the stage to be recognized.
Leland Wilson. Damian Brandon. Sydney Barker. Madeline Westbrook. Carol Gorley. Audrey Long. Jessica Kosarov. Ken Jones. Liam Ray. Riley Richardson. Diego Villarreal. Chandler Kelso. Connor Denny. Cammie Means. Madison Harris. Harley Destiny Stroh.
Joseph Smith. Colin Fuller. Kiana Nahinu. Yo-Jong Kong. Christina Metcalf. Abigail Miller. Olivia Evans. Catherine Ferguson. Jordan Southern. Natalie Erb. Ariana Daniels. Patience Orskill. Ella Zundel. Allison Appleton. Anthony Evans. Nikki Cole. Tegan Bowser. Maxwell Fishback. Brett Long. Christopher DeSanto.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society and the lively fellowship of scholars it affords. I salute you for your accomplishment. I charge you to explore always for truth and to dedicate yourselves to the cultivation of the well-reasoned life, a prelude to service and honor. Let's give our inductees a round of applause.
As we close this evening's ceremony, I want to thank all the members and supporters of Phi Theta Kappa and all our guests in the audience as we have honored our new inductees. Some of you may know that Phi Theta Kappa began in 1918 in the state of Missouri, and our newest members here tonight carry on the legacy in our home state, a legacy that has grown into the Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society of two-year colleges with over 3.5 million members in the United States and 10 sovereign nations. Students, you and your guests are welcome to take pictures on stage after the ceremony. Before we leave this evening, I'd like to thank you again for being here to celebrate our newest PTK inductees. OTC is very proud to have such a strong and vibrant chapter, and we look forward to continuing our support of their great work. Good night.